going to go from OBD0 ECU to OBD1 ECU. So what I need to do is take out the old one first. Usually you would have a plate underneath here, but this car's been that's had a few things happen to it, so that's not the case. This is the old ECU. You can just push these top connectors and that comes out there. And I've spent the money on this. This is a Rywire OBD0 to OBD1 Loom. Makes this whole thing really simple. So we've got the connectors here, and these are exactly the same as in there. So that's the same OBD0 side connectors. And then we just have them in here. We can just clip these in. That's it. And then this connector here, it's a large one, and a small one. So that's that. You'll notice you have this extra loom here, and that's because the OBD0 doesn't have certain types of sensors, so like lambda sensor it doesn't use, etc. And we'll go through that, but that's why you get this extra bit of loom here. And that clips in there. You feed this through the firewall, these extra ends, and then we connect them up, but we'll do that later. And then here I have a socketed P28 ECU. It's got an 8,500 RPM rev limit and a launch control set to 4,200 RPM. It's done by H-Tune, but you could socket it yourself as well. So you're just plugging these in. So this is the nice thing about this conversion. There's not a lot of wiring to do. So that's that. And then we just simply grab these, clip this in here, so you can see that it's like that. Then I just need to run all these wires. I'll probably put some tape around there and feed it through the bulkhead, and then we can get wiring up. Now I'm going to talk you through the wiring for the engine conversion. My car itself is a Civic from 1991, so that has the OBD0 style connections that go from the strut tower, if you like, and also for the rest of the engine bay. Then I have an engine which is a B18C4, and this is the type of connections that has. That's OBD2, and my ECU, which is already in the car and connected via a Rywire connection cable, is OBD1. So what I need to do in order to make this engine run is I need to modify my original D16A9 OBD0 engine loom in order to be able to run the later engine. Now, Rywire comes up with some suggestions of how to do this, but what I'm going to do is just take you through the step by step. So as you saw previously, the engine is going to run on an OBD1 ECU that's been shipped. I've already got the Rywire conversion harness in the car, so that means I can run the OBD1 ECU. Now what I need to do is switch out some of these connectors, and I'm going to show you the whole process by identifying which connectors which I've already done. So I've already labelled up which connector does what for both looms, and then I need to swap some of the connectors on this OBD2 loom over to the OBD1 loom so it all connects up. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at the distributor wiring. As you can see, this is the OBD0 distributor wiring, like so. This is the OBD2 distributor wiring. First thing you need to do with the OBD2 is it has this little cap in here. So all you need to do with that is grab your little screwdriver, it's pressed in like that, and then you can just slide the little screwdriver underneath here. There you go, it's gone. So the first thing you need to do is dislodge each of these wires in the top row. So I'm just using a little probe, and all you can do is just put it down the edge of it towards the bottom, and you can just pick the connector down. Pick the connector down and pull the back of the wire out, and do that for each of these in the top row. Now I have the OBD2 plug. It's off apart from these two wires, and I'm going to need them because the bottom two connectors, if I zoom in somewhat, are actually different to the OBD0 connectors. So these connectors won't fit in here, so I need to actually use those. So I'm going to just actually cut this off the loom and back out. So I have to snip these off the loom. So give yourself a bit of wire there. Then with your trusty old snips, you can just snip them both off. Okay, so we have our OBD2 connector, and then we're ready to put that on the OBD0 loom. There are actually three connectors, which are for the OBD0 connection to the distributor. So we have this one here, we have this one here, and we have this one. And this one is usually sitting on the exhaust camshaft pulley. So just watch out for this one, because not all the wiring diagrams on the internet show you this. But so you need to have these three in play to connect up to the OBD2 distributor plug. So I've already gone ahead and cut the bottom two off here, and I've pulled out the other top 7 connectors, which these are going to plug in. So the ones from this plug here, the 6-pin plug, and also this green pin plug. So the 5 out of here and the 2 out of the green pin plug, the 7 wires there, are going to be in these top connectors here. So you see there's, looks like there's 8 in the top, but actually one of them, if you look at the back, it's actually blanked off. So that's how I'm going to connect those. I'll tell you which way around it is. And then these 2 wires here, the bottom 2 on this OBD2 connector, are going to go to wiring what was on this one here of the OBD0. So starting with the OBD0 connector, I'm just going to back out both of these, just again using this little probe tang. And so you just basically just push it in there. You can see that. Just pull back the little lever, and then just pull out the connector, and you just do that for both. Just, again, just slide it in there. Then little green connector is removed, and you have 2 wires. And I'll show you where to connect them now. So if we look at the connector at the back, and you could number them 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the bottom row 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9 and 10. And that's the finished article with all of the 7 out of the 8 populated, because one's blanked off. And we just need to solder these 2 connectors, the black with the yellow thick wire and the blue cable to the OBD0, and that's finished. So that means I've got an OBD0 loom with an OBD2 distributor connector. So this is a bit of soldering 101. I've got a flux pen here. So what I can do is just go over each of the joints here, and all I've used to strip them back is one of these This is a really nice one because it means you can adjust the width of the wire you're going to actually want to to crimp off the insulation for, so you can just wind that in and out to make it smaller or fatter. So yeah, like I say, come in here with the flux pen, and then I've got my soldering iron just off camera here. And what you need to do is first of all just wind the wires together. Okay, I can do this one first. I've already put my insulation, so this is some heat shrink. I've just put that further, as far down as here as possible. And then I'm just going to get the soldering iron out. Got my lead-free solder. So first of all, just touch a little bit on the soldering iron. That means it's ready. And then just place that on the bottom here. Then what I can do, just zoom in a bit more. And what I can do, put loads of heat into the wire. What you don't want to do is just do a dry solder, so you need to get a lot of heat into the wire. And you'll know there's enough heat into the wire when you touch the solder on top of the wire. It starts to melt of its own accord. Just started to do that now, so that should do. Okay, and then what you can do is when that's cooled down, you can drag the bit of insulation up there and then just melt that, and that's what you're really aiming for. If I just show you, it's a solid joint, difficult to see. But you can see that it's got solder all the way around it, it's not dry, and that's how you do soldering. And then that's completed by placing on this here, and then that's the full OBD0 to OBD2 distributor connector. So now I need to get the lambda sensor or O2 sensor wiring. So you see here, comes on this nice 4-pin plug. So I want to keep that. I want to use this clip, which clips into that. So that means when I get a new sensor, if in the future, I can just clip a standard one straight in. It's going to be easy rather than trying to wire it in solidly. And I have to cut out solder again, it's a pain. So what I'm going to do is, this is the OBD2 loom. I'm going to trace the wires back as far as they'll go to give me some slack, and then cut them off. So just finished off soldering up the lambda sensor or O2 sensor. So just to give you an idea of the wiring, this is the plug, the 4-pin plug I took off the OBD2 B18C4 loom. This is the counterpart which holds the O2 sensor, and that obviously just fits, snaps in just like that. The wire, which is the white to red, which is the signal wire, comes as standard soldered with a shield around it. So I'm going to earth this point here, so that will just act as a shield. So I'm going to put that to the earth, and that acts to stop any noise coming on the sensor. I'm going to connect the Vtech solenoid plug, which is a single wire on the B18C4. And that goes from a green and with a yellow stripe to the black wire on the Rywire kit. Then we have the 2-pin knock sensor, which is in the back of the block. That is, well, the active side is a red with a blue stripe in it, and that goes to the white wire on the Rywire. So I'm just going to join this together, and I'm presuming that this black wire will need to be earthed. So I'm going to leave it long, and then I can earth it. The other side of the 2-pin knock sensor I've just put on an eyelet, so that's for the ground. The OBD0 D16A9 engine, and some of the other engines as well, use low impedance injectors, and they need a resistor box. we're going to be running the high impedance injectors from the B18C4, so we actually need to get rid of this. So the first thing we're going to do is just pull back the little tang on there, and then that's the resistor box which is away from this, and it leaves you with a 6-pin plug, like so. And then we come in again. What we need to do is de-pin all the wires, and we have 4 red with black striped wires and 1 yellow with a black stripe wire. Then we need to go over to our OBD2 loom, and you have this thing here. Now that, all it is connects all of them together, because we're going from the low impedance 5.5 volts injectors to the OBD2 12 volt injectors, the high impedance. So what we need to do is actually start using this. So the first thing I do with this connector is I press it down this little catch here, and then just pull off the connector, relieves itself to be that. And then I can just pull out this white tang here. So here I should just be able to place a little flathead screwdriver underneath. I'm just putting it in here. I'm just going to slide down into here, and then that removes that from there. I don't know which way around it comes off. And then I'm just going to de-pin that connector so I can re-pin it with my 5 wires from before. Get a flathead screwdriver, go in below here, like so, and then just push out, then back, and you see it's recessed. Again, out, and back, and then you just push each of them out. So now with the OBD2 injectors, what I've done is I've stripped them out fully from where they were in the old B18 Loom. This leaves you with 4 of these yellow with a black stripe wires, which are all going to need to go to the original grounding box, and then also the individual sensors, which are all conjoined to this 4-pin connector, and they actually run each of the injectors individually. So the reason why I've stripped these all out is because when you get down to the OBD0 connectors for the injectors, they're like that. I've de-pinned them, but you can't actually put these pins, if you see, the pins are like that. You can't actually put these pins, OBD0, into OBD1 or 2 injector clips. That's the OBD01, and the OBD2 is here. So that's why I've done it. So I've taken that out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this all back in. So first of all, I have, this is on the OBD0. You see this is where the resistor box used to be, and I've fed the first wire, which goes to the resistor box, a green plug usually. I fed that in to this terminator housing, and then I can just get all 4 of these yellow with a black stripe connectors, and just feed them all back into this terminator housing. It doesn't matter which way you have them round, as long as they're all in. One thing I noticed here that's really important is you need to make sure that these little legs at the back here are all down enough. So these little plastic legs. Where that's important is because then when you feed the connector in, as so, you need to be able to hear a little click, and that's how you want them. So it doesn't matter which way around they go, just make sure they're all clicked so you can't pull any of them out the back, so they're all firmly in there. Put the cap in the top, so that's this way around. Just fits in like that. And then finally, we have this in here, so that can go like so. And then that's sewn up. So still on the OBD2 injector loom that I've taken out of the B18C4 loom in general, you'd need to get rid of this connector. So this is the 4-pin connector here. So again, I just get the little white bit out the centre. Comes out so easy. Then again, with the flathead, you can just de-pin these, so you can just put them, the screwdriver behind, and then just pull it down and out. Do that for all 4. Just try to show this in the clearest way. Just pull it down and out. So down, out. All 4 come out. Connect to one side. And then you'll notice that the connector you want, which is right next to where the resistor box was, is this one here. So this is the same side as the passenger side in the UK or right-hand drive countries. So that's where it is. And then you can de-pin this one as well. So again, you get the flathead out and then just de-pin this connector, and then we'll need to connect the injectors up to this this here connector. So now I'm just going to push in the OBD2 connectors into this OBD0 injector plug, which is again, like I say, on the passenger side of a right-hand drive vehicle. So I have them lined up, the injectors, in the same way as they came out. So if we go like this, so you see here, these are the injectors lined up. So that is the passenger side. So if you look at the vehicle, it would be, so the bonnet would be, so if you look at the vehicle, the passenger side is here, so I'd be like sitting in the car, if you see what I mean. So in front of me I would have cylinders 1, 2, 3 and 4. So then I line up the injectors from the OBD2 loom in the same way. And what that means is the injector on the left hand side as I sit in the car, it actually goes to a brown wire, so you can check that, but that's the brown wire. So the brown wire needs to come into here, into the OBD0 connector, and that needs to go in the in position 1 as I look at it inside there. So that's the top left if you look at it from the back. So what I'll do is I'll just clip that one in. Then injector 2 would be the red wire. So grab that and put that next to it. So here we just put it next to it here. And then I have the blue wire, which is the last one on this top row. So it's just here on the top row. And then finally, I have the only wire left, which happens to be the yellow wire for injector 4. And injector 4 just goes in the only other spare hole, so that's in here. Okay, slide that in, and that is it. Then all I need to do, so I've got my OBD2 injectors placed into my OBD0 Loom. All I need to do now is strip out the old OBD0 injector part of the Loom. Now here we have the OBD0 fan switch. So this is the one that's on the back of the block on the D16A9. You see inside there it has two little connectors. Now what you really want to do is rewire this, because you need to, it's a different connector. It's this type of connector on the B18C4. There's actually a number of these, so I didn't take the one exactly from the same sensor, but either way there's about 3 of these on for different things on the B18C4. So you just grab one of these, grab some decent length wires, and it's just a matter of really cutting off the yellow with a green stripe and the black, and then just joining on these, and then this, instead of being on the back of the block on the D16A9, will actually be next to the thermostat housing on the B18C4, and that just clips in there. It's a brown connector on the thermostat housing on the B18C4. Okay, then we have the alternator, which has different connections. This is the OBD0, so it has this round style plug, and just the usual connection there, which is an eyelet. And this is the OBD2 B18C4, so this has this type of connector and that eyelet. One thing I noticed was they seem to have different nuts that hold on the eyelets, so I've just taken the rubber boot off this, and I'm going to take the rubber boot off the off this thing as well, and then put this boot on. So we're going to do that first. So first of all, the OBD2 alternator 3-pin. So the first thing you're going to have to do is get your little flathead screwdriver again, put it in underneath here, and then you see how this bit pops out. That bit pops out, put that to one side. Then you can just simply de-pin it by where that thing came out. You just slide it down the side here. De-pinning the B18C4 alternator plug, I'm left to need to wire up the plug to the OBD0 connectors. So you just have white with a blue goes to white and blue, black and yellow goes to black and yellow, and the only one left is the white and red on the OBD2 side goes to the blue of the harness. So I'm just going to wire them up. Final thing to do is just to wire it back up. So you have, you look at it like this, and you put it down with the tang at the top. It is white and blue. In the middle it's black and yellow, and on this right hand side here it is the white and the red on this side. Then we can just put this little tang down the side again, and that just holds everything in. This is from the Civic D16A9 engine, and this mounts to the firewall usually, so there's a 10mm bolt there that stores that, and this goes to the inlet manifold. So this one goes to the left, and this one goes, so the upper one goes to the left and the lower one goes to the right on the inlet manifold. And then this here is a separate unit for the it's the manifold pressure. Right, I'm just going to quickly go through the wiring on the engine. So what we have here is the modified OBD0 Loom, and that means that we have the nice OBD0 connections, and they're going to go, if you swing round onto here, so there's 3 plugs here, and this is, as they say, the strut tower side. So this is this side of the engine bay, which is driver side because it's a right-hand drive car, and then we have over the other side, this is for the injectors, so that's where you're going to want to link to as well. The only other things of note in the engine bay are starter motor wire, and we have this is for the wideband lambda, which I'm going to use for tuning the car afterwards, and then we have a bunch of earths, which I'm just earth the engine to the chassis. So right, just quickly on this loom then, we have here, we're going to need to connect these up. These are for the alternator, so you see here it's the 3-pin type, and important to know that it's white with blue, then black, yellow, and then white with red there. This is going to go on here. We have the knock sensor, and that's on the auxiliary loom. This is your auxiliary loom, so this just connects the sensors that the OBD0 doesn't need, but the OBD2 engine does need. One of being lambda sensor, so that's going in here like that. And then we have things such as Vtech solenoid, so that's around the front here. And then we have also the knock sensor, so that's at the top here. This is the oil pressure switch. We have the oil purge, which I don't think we're going to use in the end. Then we have this going to the that side of the vehicle, so to the right hand side of the engine bay, so passenger side on the right hand side vehicle. That's here. This is the terminator block because we're running high impedance injectors. Then we have this is I think it's a manifold pressure sensor, so that's going to go there. And then these are for the injectors. Obviously I'm not putting this engine in with the ITBs installed because I don't want to damage them as I go. Then as we work our way down, we have this is for the radiator fan switch. On the OBD0 engine, it's actually round the back of the block, and that's on the 2 separate prongs with the big rubber housing around it. So this is actually on the B18C4, it's actually on the thermostat housing. Then this is the earth, which goes again to that 10mm bolt that you can see there. This is the OBD2 distributor connector that I've rewired onto it. And then a lot of these connectors, they might look different because they're in this type of plastic, but they're actually they're the same. So this is the throttle position sensor that again go on to where the ITBs are. This is for the starter motor spade connection. And then this is obviously, as I said before. And then if you come around here, you may as well go around. Then this is the coolant temperature sensor on here. These wires will be for the reverse switch. And this wire here is just, that's a temperature sensor. So that's what we have there. So this is the reverse light switch, which is again 2-pinned. And then this is the gearbox speed sensor. One of the complicated things about this car is it's on a mechanical speedo cable, so I'm going to need to somehow convert that so it can actually run an electric speedo, but that's my problem, I'll do that later. So with this, all I've done is on the loom, come on here, I've just, instead of the little push fit 2 pins that it has, I'll just wire this on, so that means I can just put the reverse sensor, and then that's everything. We're ready to put this engine on the gearbox.